Oh, baby. Brand new intro, brand new studio. Jason Fitz back. Welcome in to the College Football Show. It's good to have you back, big fella. How you living?
Trevor Scales, I missed you last season.
Oh.
Last season things were a little different for us. I was traveling.
You were big time,
right? I'm still big time. I was traveling last season for Countdown to Game Day and wasn't able to hang out with you because of it. But this season, because of COVID, it actually presents us the opportunity to distance slow dance. Like, I don't know how this works. Like, if we,
I don't know. We can coordinate that, right? A little bachata going. In any case.
It took me all of 30 seconds to make the new show awkward. Let's go, baby.
I'm all for it. We're here for that awkward energy. We're also here to take you through the college football day. We are in week 2 of the schedule. It is week 1 for us, but we are here live, Twitter, YouTube Live, Facebook, and the ESPN app. Take you through the day's events and get you right for the primetime matchup. And I think, Fitz, as you mentioned, the COVID distance and everything that we're doing, the measures that we're taking here in studio remind me of just how I have approached this season. I am at a bit of a nexus for me because as much as I love college football, played it, loved every minute of it, thankful for every single opportunity that it provided in my life afterwards. I also look at this situation and I can't help but feel for the athletes that are both sitting for this fall season at the moment and those that are out there now making money for an institution and for a larger group of people that they will never see the funds for. Because I feel like we are actually putting these kids in a dangerous spot. There's no denying that, but I also understand the economic ramifications should they have not pursued a season. And so I just find myself conflicted in a sense.
I think this show is going to be a lot of fun. And over the course of the night, we're going to have a lot of fun. But let's start with a little bit of a serious note here because this is not a simple conversation. Nothing about playing in a COVID-19 world is simple. And I have to stress that because I think part of what Twitter does is try to simplify everything. It's this or that. It must be this. It must be that. There's this narrative that people are rooting against college football in the media that drives me crazy because, to be real, we have friends that aren't going to be able to pay their bills anymore because there's not college football. So I want to stop that madness, but still have a nuanced conversation about the fact that you're absolutely right. Like, everybody in this process is taking risk, from coaches, from people that are around the organization, from team managers that have to be around the team, to the players themselves. And they choose to do that. And I think the biggest part about all of this is that I want to respect the decision by every kid, by every school, by every conference, whatever it is they decide along the way, the expertise they're listening to, I respect it. I think it's a difficult conversation to figure out how to deal with all of this, the right way to approach it. I'm so glad we have college football because it means so much to my life. But I can say that and at the same time say, if somebody chooses not to be a part of it or feels like it's not right for them, I also respect that because there are so many variables that we don't know. And in 10 years, we'll look back at all of this with a lot more information. And I think either way, either side's going to think that somebody was wrong. But through all of this, the one thing that we have to remember is that these are kids that are playing football for our enjoyment. I respect the hell out of that.
And I appreciate the heck out of that, right? Like them taking that step to take a step into what is the face of danger, frankly. But, you mentioned just the ever sort of changing information that is a day-by-day thing. And I think the Big Ten is realizing that as well. We know that they, on August 11th, decided to postpone their season until at least 2021. Well, Heather Dinich and Adam Rittenberg are reporting that it could happen as soon as tomorrow, that the Big Ten could take a vote to see when they would restart their season. It would be as early as mid to late October, but that is something that is showing you just how fluid all of this information is and just how quickly things can change.
But let's also be really clear here. I mean, I think if there's a failing, we're about to get to the games, but if there's a failing in the process so far, it's been in transparency. And I'm not talking about Kevin Warren because everybody wants to bag on Kevin Warren, the Big Ten commissioner. Let's understand his job. His job is to protect university presidents and commissioners from answering any questions. And chancellors, I should say. That's what he's done. He has been falling on the sword repeatedly. If they are going to have another vote, my hope and this may never happen, but my hope is that we will actually hear from member institutions how they voted and why they voted, because everybody's spending all of their energy yelling at Kevin Warren or yelling at the Big Ten as a whole, when they should, in fact, be yelling at the organizations if they don't like the decision.
Correct.
Yell at the university presidents that voted. And so far, I mean, there's been a lot of reports about the 11-3 vote that we hear, but nobody's come out and actually spoken to it. And you can hear coaches speak and you can hear athletic directors speak, and it doesn't, I have to say this loudly, it doesn't matter, because they don't have a vote. The people that have a vote are presidents and chancellors. And if ADs and coaches want to yell, they should be yelling upwards in their own schools to change those votes. Until then, I don't understand why we are suddenly looking at this picture without asking for accountability and transparency from the people that actually vote.
A lot of misdirected anger at point blank period. We will just move on to the sake of having football, right? Like, we are here to discuss
Let's get that off our chest.
We just had to get that out there and let y'all know where we stand on the season as a whole. But we are here again to talk football, to get you caught up on everything that has happened. And the first game that we'll begin with is the Louisiana Raging Cajuns taking on Iowa State. And Fitz, an upset of sorts, no?
Oh, yeah, not even of sorts. And this one started with, or didn't start with, but the scoring for Louisiana started with a beautiful kick return here. You're looking at it. I mean, just pressing the turbo button. That's always making a Madden moment, right? Like, you're looking at it, pressing the turbo button with the touchdown return there.
Recent join back into the Madden party at DSGB Trev 24. Don't forget the A if you want to know about it. But R2 is now your turbo button, just for your
Are you
R2.
like playing Madden online with people and not with me? I will crush you.
You don't want these problems.
I will destroy you the same way what you're looking at right here is happening. When you start thinking about the way that this game went down, look, Iowa State, this is exactly what we thought would happen. By the way, if a kickoff return isn't good enough for you, how about we add a punt return too? Look at this. He's got the angle. He's got the angle. No, sir. I will turbo and you will eat my smoke. That's what happened there.
That was wildly aggressive. That was wildly aggressive.
Look, if you're not fast, you can be wildly aggressive. I think wildly aggressive is a good way to describe the way the Raging Cajuns were in this game, because they didn't just beat a ranked opponent, they thumped a ranked opponent. Coming into this game, Louisiana was 0-31 all-time versus AP-ranked opponents on the road. That was the third most losses without a win in the AP poll era, and they get the big win, the statement win, where they come in. And we're going to see a lot of this early in the season. You got a team that we didn't know what to expect in Louisiana Lafayette coming in and just thumping a team that we thought could be a top 25.
And Louisiana out physical that team, which is something that doesn't happen to Iowa State. Like,
wait, physical?
It is not a word, but we are making it one here on the college football show, okay?
Yeah,
just so you know, just so
you
everybody
went to
else
Harvard,
out there
I didn't.
knows.
So, like, you can make up words.
It's fine. Just keep moving. I tell you, just like season 1 when we did this, you keep stopping down. We don't need to stop down. Just keep moving. The Big 12 woes did not end there, by the way. It continued on with Kansas State. They took on Arkansas State, and we'll pick this thing up. But Arkansas State, first win. This is their first win against a Power 5 team since 2008. We'll pick things up. And the final touchdown drive of the game for Arkansas State, Jonathan Adams, 17-yard pass, Lane Hatcher. And look, Adams Jr. had 8 total receptions. 3 of them were for touchdowns. This is the last-ditch effort from K-State, by the way, and I'm not entirely sure.
Effort? We're going to call that
It's an effort. It's not a good effort, but, like, it's an effort.
Okay.
There's a fine line of delineation there.
I love leaning on you in these moments because you played the game. So, tell me what your process is like when you're in the huddle and you know you need one play. You got one play left.
It's one play to win, right? Like,
we got one play to score, and you're going to run a post to about the 20-yard line.
We practice this every week, right? Like, it's supposed to be a scoring play. The moment somebody has a possession of the ball, it should be in the end zone. That is not what Kansas State drew up evidently. They said, we're going to run a 25-yard post. It's about 15 yards short of the goal line and hope that you can get there. And they still threw it. I don't know what went through the coaches nor anybody on the field executing's mind. It was just strange.
They're still trying to figure out Jonathan Adams Jr., what happened there. First Sun Belt player with 3 receiving touchdowns versus a Power 5 team since at least 2004. So it could be even longer than that. That's as far back as our stats and info group can find. I mean, you are talking about a level of dominance there from one man at one position. You mentioned 8 catches, 3 tutties.
Three touchdowns. And the weirdest thing was 5 total touchdown passes for Arkansas State. 3 different players threw them. We had 2 quarterbacks. They run a 2-quarterback system. And then why not a wide receiver gets in there and throws a touchdown pass as well? So it was just Big 12, I'm sorry for you. Kansas State, I'm sorry for you. It was just a rough day for them.
We'll show you some more highlights from that. But, Trevor, take us through this one next. Syracuse versus North Carolina, a lot of expectations.
Yeah, man. And Mac Brown's team's always hype, and they've gotten a surge in recruiting that puts them in a position to really make some noise in the ACC. They got off to a fast start and scored within 5 minutes of the game beginning, but they didn't see the end zone again until then. 14:57 remaining in the fourth quarter. Mac Brown said himself that they got a little comfortable with that first drive and thought that they were going to do something. It was a matter of Sam Howell getting his first career game with multiple passing touchdowns, which is great. Javonte Williams, only 5 rushing touchdowns all last season. He had 3 on the evening. And by the way, they were all 3 of them in the fourth quarter. So he found a way to kind of get things going late. And again, sets up this North Carolina team to do something special. We talked about the energy at the front end of this highlight. It continued after the turnover. We got the championship belt out there. Mac Brown and his boys ready to go once again for another season. So I'm interested to know from you, Fitz, what are your expectations for this Tar Heel team?
This wasn't good enough for this Tar Heels team, and it was good enough defensively for sure, but it wasn't good enough offensively. And I had the opportunity last week when I was hosting College Football Live a couple of weeks ago to talk with Coach Mac Brown, and he talked pretty openly about the way that they feel their expectations are going to go, right? And they're embracing expectations. Part of that falls on the shoulders of Sam Howell. He's supposed to be a Heisman candidate. He didn't look like it today. That offense looked confused today. And this is, Syracuse, if anything, is a reminder for North Carolina how fast the wheels can fall off. Because it wasn't that long ago that Dino Babers and Syracuse were
loving that program.
Oh, they were about to take everybody down. Now, I think North Carolina, by the time the end of the year comes and normalizes, they're the 3rd or 4th best team. But as you mentioned, look at their recruiting rankings. They were the 7th best recruited team for all of 2020. You're talking about Florida, LSU, teams like that. And Mac Brown is loading that kind of talent. And when you have that kind of talent, it's not just about winning. You also have to be convincing when you win to show everybody you're worth the hype.
Biggest thing we saw, it was a bunch of miscues by a Mac Brown team. 9 penalties, 3 turnovers in the opening game, right? We understand that, especially in the pandemic, teams were limited in the amount that they could practice, how much time they got around each other, and how much they were able to work through. But when it comes to just playing mistake-free football, that's what that team is going to have to focus and try to do.
And Mac Brown also was pretty adamant in their practicing process. They had a distance stick, and they actually had grad assistants that were running around making sure people were staying 6 feet apart. And they had messages on the big screen. They were making sure everybody knew that distance mattered. And I feel like this is just a reminder for not just North Carolina, every team coming into this weekend. They've been so worried about the health metrics, rightfully so, that we're going to see some clunky moments. And that's just what it felt like.
Yeah. It's the season of exceptions and understanding that this is not going to be the normal sort of assessment that we can do on a week-to-week basis. You're going to have to understand that this stuff is going to change on a day-to-day basis, even with rosters.
And if there's anything I know about Mac Brown, he's got that it factor. Makes you want to sort of run through a wall for him. He's going to have to be tough on the guys. They had 9 penalties, 3 turnovers in this game. They got to get better. And I know that Mac Brown will try and make that happen. So, speaking of got to get better, we had high expectations for Notre Dame. And let me tell you.
First conference game.
First time in the Notre Dame got to the ACC. And if you guys watched any of our digital preview, I talked to Mike Golick Jr. He sort of cockily let the world know that just by joining the ACC, their strength of schedule got easier. It became an easier path for Notre Dame. Well, guess what? Didn't look like it today. 27-13 is the score. You can see it up there. They didn't cover. Fact is, Ian Book, at times in this game, I thought looked lost. He was taking a long time to figure out what to do with the ball. This was not an easy win for them. Their offense didn't look as fast as expected, and a significant injury. We don't know the extent of it yet, but safety Kyle Hamilton injured his knee in this game. That's going to be significant for
an incredibly scary moment for that roster, right? Like in a team that was hoping to kind of come into a conference and make some noise in a season that was just an exception in a lot of different ways, and hope to kind of make a run for the national championship given the current state of affairs. But like you mentioned, that offense did not look right. But defensively, I like their team speed. So going forward, what could they do? I think next week they sort of lay it up, and 2 weeks from now they lay it up and have a game against South Florida. But from there, man, it's the gauntlet of the ACC, and we'll see what they can do.
I mean, the gauntlet really favors them on that November 7th matchup because they get Clemson at home. And then you look at that November 27th matchup. I think that's a significant game there because we were talking about North Carolina expectations. They have the opportunity to get a landmark branding win over a team like Notre Dame.
And Pittsburgh looked dang good today, too, right? Like, that's coming up in late October.
Oh, yeah, but Pittsburgh was playing also. We'll get to Pittsburgh.
But they figured it out. They figured it out, so we're not going to just say that they're going to walk through them just like we thought they were going to walk through, too.
That's fair. Look at the odds here to win the ACC. We remind you of that because, again, you see that I'm a little surprised Miami's that high at 12-1, but Notre Dame, second best odds, and there's this feel that Notre Dame could play their way. Obviously, Notre Dame wins. They're going to play their way to the playoff no matter what, even in a normal year. But it feels like this year particularly, they've got to get better. They've got to find some rhythm offensively, and I still think they have to find explosiveness from somewhere.
I can't help but think about every single quarterback for those ACC rosters as we look down those betting odds. You're talking about James Blackham at Florida State, De'Aaron King at Miami, Ian Book obviously at Notre Dame, Trevor Lawrence at the top of things at Clemson. And so you can look down that side of the odds and understand why exactly we had them placed in that sort of order. Because just the experience and familiarity at the quarterback position.
Yeah, 1,000%. You mentioned De'Aaron King, by the way. Had some accuracy issues earlier in the week. We expect that from De'Aaron King. It's going to take him some time. That's a part of his game. Needs to be cleaned up. But he is able to do a lot from the quarterback position. I've talked to a couple of different analysts that I trust here, and they continue to tell me that he is the viable threat that they need to be a great team. So I'm looking at Notre Dame saying, hey, I keep hearing from everybody with the last name Golick that Notre Dame's going to be great. You got to show me more. And by the way, that's easy for me to say when I know that they're, miles away and can't kick my butt. I'm just saying.
Hey, look, Tyler up in the control room, he might have some words for you after this show.
That is fair. Tyler's smaller than a Golick. I mean, Tyler, no offense.
Still rocked up. Don't do that.
Yeah, that is fair. My mouth is running a lot today. I'm going to just have to run from everybody. All right, let's take a look at another game from the slate today. Georgia Tech, Florida State from Doak Campbell Stadium. First drive of the game coming in here. Georgia Tech with true freshman Jeff Sims at quarterback. Freshman throws an interception to Asante Samuel Jr. Yes, that is the name you recognize. Returned it for 38 yards all the way to the FSU 48-yard line. That, by the way, sneak peek to later, that was not his only pick of the game. He is on fire in this one. On the next possession, you're looking at James Blackman, rolls out of the pocket, delivers a strike to Keyshawn Helton for the touchdown. Early lead, Seminoles go up 7-0 in this one. And obviously a lot of eyes on Florida State. We'll get to that in just a second. But fast forward to the second quarter, following a lightning delay to put the game on pause. Seminoles up 10-0. Jeff Sims hits Marquez Ezer down the sideline for 45 yards, all the way down to the 5-yard line. Great play there, but not so fast. Field goal attempt by Georgia Tech blocked. Now, I have to tell you this. A couple of amazing things here.
Please.
These are coming in twos.
Coach me up. Yes.
Not only was that a great interception we showed you earlier, but Asante Samuel Jr., yes.
Asante Samuel, yes.
We were talking before the show. That means we're old because, yes, that Asante Samuel has 2 picks in this game. And a Florida State team that, by the way, had not blocked a field goal since 2017 against Delaware State has now blocked 2 in this game. They have 2 blocked field goals in this game.
That means it's a party down there, man. Like, we blocking field goals, we getting it on and cracking. We will stick with the ACC, though, right? I told you about Pitt. You were making fun of me and saying that, like, Pitt might give Ian Book and the Notre Dame boys a little bit of problems, but they are giving Austin Peay the work. Actually, matter of fact, that might be past tense because it is final. It was an absolute final, 53 to, what we got?
55.
55-0.
Okay, so, this score is significant, though, because y'all may not know this, but they reduced the quarters in the second half, and they moved them down to 10 minutes. And you're thinking, okay, mercy rule, cool, 55-0. I don't want to watch Austin Peay get their butt kicked, especially like, I got Nashville ties. I want to watch Austin Peay get their butt kicked. But, all right, here's the important fact. In the betting world, you have to play at least 55? They've got it here for me. You have to play at least 58 minutes, I believe, for the game to count for the betting odds. So because they shortened the football game in the second half, all lines don't count. So everybody that had action on this game, you want to talk bad beats. Like SVP's got bad beats like down. This is a bad beat. You got all that money and you're like, oh, man, I played.
Right, if you were banking on the over and I'm sure they hit it, like it's just – I'd be so distraught.
I'm a little curious because for Countdown to Game Day this morning, I picked Pitt with the points. I get credit for the win, right? I mean, I get credit.
Amongst friends, yes. Amongst friends, you will get that.
Amongst friends, amongst Twitter, I get credit for that.
Listen, they are not your friends. I can assure you.
I don't care about my friends. I care about
certainly
Twitter
are not your friends. I can assure you they are not.
Okay, well, that's fine. All right, you talked about expectations, and we're going to talk about expectations a lot. It's week 2, but week 1 for us. But whenever you talk expectations, you also have to mention quarterbacks at Oklahoma. 3 straight years with the top 2 Heisman finish. All eyes now are on Spencer Rattler for the Sooners. By the way, 4-star prospect for ESPN, consensus #1 quarterback in 2019. This is amazing. In Arizona, in high school, he threw for 11,083 yards in his high school career and 116 passing touchdowns. Today, on game day, he talked a little bit about pressure.
I look at it like I had a lot of hype, you could say, in high school and attention. So, that definitely prepared me for this. But like I said, to me, pressure is a privilege. I don't look at it. I look at it to embrace it. I'm not going to run away from any expectations or this and that. I just focus on what I have to do with my team.
So we're on time.
Got a great group of guys around me and, a great supporting cast of coaches. So, what we're focusing on right now is that game 1, and we'll go on from there.
So, Treavor, I think this raises an interesting conversation because I just mentioned the success they've had the last several years for quarterbacks. But let's remember the success they've had has been with transfers, people that are familiar with the game, that have already got their legs under them. I can't figure out what's real when you're talking about a redshirt freshman that already people are saying has a shot at the Heisman. What do you think is fair for Spencer Rattler?
I think I can't necessarily say that the Heisman expectations are fair for Spencer Rattler. I'm more so curious about what Lincoln Riley is going to do with his first sort of ground floor project, right? As you mentioned, getting the transfers is one thing, and getting them up to speed on an offense that is obviously productive is another. But bringing in a guy that's fresh-faced, in effect, and hasn't played a down in college football, and seeing what he can do under those big lights. I understand that, as he said, pressure is a privilege, which is a beautiful thing. It's a level of confidence that I can respect. But we're going to see what he can do with this amount of pressure. It's a different caliber.
By the way, the Oklahoma's already up 7-0. They are playing Missouri State. There's a little, cynical, maybe a little.
Go ahead. I understand.
I love my reality TV. Like, Below Deck is a treasure. By the way, have me on. I really want to come on Below Deck, man. Captain Sandy, call me. Look, so I love my trash TV, right?
Yeah.
QB1, I've watched a lot of QB1.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
And there's this moment where he says, pressure is a great thing and blah, blah, blah. You bring some of that on yourself when you decide as a family you're going to have a reality TV show essentially filming everything you do in your senior year as a high school quarterback. I'm just saying there's a little moment of it. Like, some people love the limelight.
Even with that, right, it's something that Lincoln Riley welcomes, clearly, from all of the quarterbacks that we've seen him have in his program, right? Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, my man Kyler Murray as well. All of them have that little bit of a cocky streak within them that you got to respect, and they're going to come the ball behind all of that cocky sentiment.
And like a beacon of light in a dark, dark world, he's thrown a touchdown while we're talking about him. They're now up 13-0. His stat line, 4 for 4 for 106 yards with the touchdown. I laugh at 2 parts of this. One, you make a great point about the fact that we get to see Lincoln Riley mold something from the ground up. If I'm Lincoln Riley, I'm just happy that I've got somebody that now, I'm not going to have to worry about replacing somebody every single year.
Right.
There is a moment where you can only go to the fantasy football trade hotline so many times before your friends stop returning your call. That's a little bit how I feel like the rest of the college football community is like, nah, we're good.
Right, Oklahoma is not the only team that knows about the transfer portal anymore, so everybody got to get involved on that.
Every single quarterback right now is clawing over each other in college football to be like, I want to play for Lincoln Riley. The funny thing is, more likely right now, it's more likely that Spencer Rattler, according to the rumor mill, they always want to say that Lincoln Riley wants to go to the NFL. I personally don't believe it, but it seems more likely that Spencer Rattler lives on in Oklahoma for a lot longer than some think that Lincoln Riley. Again, I'm not saying Oklahoma fans don't at me. It's going to be great. You're going to win a bunch of national championships. Fine. I'm just saying that this partnership is at least going to have time to grow, and that's the most interesting part about it.
No doubt about that. So we'll see what those expectations end up unfolding to be. We'll see if he can match said expectations. Now, one dude that has already matched expectations and really exceeded them from day one since he set foot in the program, Treavor Lawrence. We'll get into that discussion.
Trevor Lawrence, his first loss as a college starter.
At the end of the day, I just didn't play well enough for us to win.
Joe Burrow was the A-plus quarterback, and Trevor Lawrence was a C quarterback.
He's not going to lose many. He's going to be a hard guy to beat forever because he's special.
I think you're really seeing who Trevor Lawrence is. You're seeing his heart. You're seeing how much he cares about his teammates.
Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
I'm learning to listen more. I'm learning that listening is usually more valuable than talking. I'm also learning that love can conquer all things, and love is what will bring change. Across the country, organize something where we all agree. The number one priority is we want to play right now. Who knows, this could be my last year here. I want to enjoy it with my teammates. I want to soak it all up and get as much out of it as I can.
So we see the offseason that Trevor Lawrence just had, right? And it included a lot. Not only did he develop as a leader on that team, as Dabo has said time and time again, he came in as just a freshman that was a phenom, became the leader of the offense by his sophomore year, and now he's kind of running this whole ship as we see him in the junior season as he's kind of walking into that. So, Fitz, as far as what we've seen from him to this point, he could have made this leap to the NFL. People are tanking for Trevor. It's been said already. Are you surprised that he's back in the Clemson uniform?
Yeah, I mean, realizing that he had to wait another year to go back in the draft, I think there is an element with all the opt-outs we've seen that, okay, maybe he opts out, maybe he gets ready. But I think that part of this is about the mindset around the quarterback position specifically. I mean, right or wrong, NFL teams seem to hold quarterbacks to a different standard than other positions. And, you start talking about heart and commitment and everything that NFL teams want to see from Trevor Lawrence. I also think that, it's an interesting situation because Justin Fields isn't getting the opportunity to play. So Trevor Lawrence comes in with the mindset of knowing, hey, the last time I stepped on a field, I lost for the first time. I want to right that ship. I mean, I'm not surprised to see him back because that's who Trevor Lawrence is in the minds of so many of us.
I am surprised to see Travis Etienne back in the uniform, right? As a running back, I did not expect him to take another season of beating at that position. But to go back to the focal point of the conversation, Trevor Lawrence, right? Like, this dude really has embodied everything it means to be a leader on that roster, right? He's been a guy that's been at the forefront of not only the football stuff and came to play at every single turn, but when it comes to the societal ills that Clemson and the entire world was looking to address, he was at the forefront of that issue as well. Even when it came to coming back and a return to play, he was involved in those discussions. He has no problem setting forth his opinion and his stance on a matter, and that's something you have to respect at all times.
Can we also acknowledge how difficult that is to do when you're in his position at his age with his platform? Yes. I mean, I don't know how to be anything other than just me and transparent in this stuff. Like you and I were texting this summer. Like, as everything started to go down societally, there were times that I was texting you saying, like, I don't think I've been a good enough voice. I don't think I've been a good enough friend. I start thinking about Trevor Lawrence, the kid, and that's what he is. Like, again, we think of them as grown-ass men. They are kids.
Yes.
Like, as a kid, to have the understanding of his platform, the need, the ability to speak out, the want to speak out, all of it speaks to sort of the roundness of who Trevor Lawrence is and who Trevor Lawrence has become. And I think, frankly, we're going to see a Clemson team that comes in off of one loss that is just going to eat them alive. And his first loss, I think we're going to see a Clemson team that is just going to come in and fire it up because of what the national championship left in their mouth, because of where they were and because of what this season means for Trevor Lawrence. They've never had a Heisman at Clemson, and I think that matters to the guys that see him coming back.
There's no doubt about that. Now, just for the folks out there watching the college football show, here in a couple minutes, they will kick off against Wake Forest down there at Wake Forest on ABC, so make sure you check that out on ABC. In any case, though, to go back to the conversation about how Clemson is definitely going to come out here, it also, to bring this thing full circle, has to do with their sort of mentality as the conference and the entire college football world was working through the pandemic. They had always been of the mindset that we are going to play. And that speaks a lot to what Dabo had in his mind and what he was able to galvanize from his roster. And so with that sort of mentality approaching it, then you know that they are coming with all the preparation as if nothing stopped. And that is where you will see the difference in a lot of different teams versus coaches that kind of played it on a day-by-day basis versus those that said, we're playing and we are going to prepare as if this kickoff date is imminent.
And I'm a strong believer that there is a ghost that will haunt this Clemson team this year, and that's the ghost of Ohio State. Hear me out. Ohio State's not playing this year, at least right now. Again, If you missed the beginning of the show, there's a possibility of a revote as early as tomorrow. But as of today, Ohio State may or may not play while Clemson's playing. That to me means that style matters because pride matters to these guys and because pride matters to everybody around the entire institution, right? So if I'm a Clemson player, if I'm a Clemson coach, if I'm around that program, not only do I want to win, I want to win so convincingly that it shows why Trevor Lawrence came back. And I want to win so convincingly that it shuts up anybody that wants to turn around and say, well, you know what? If Ohio State had played, they would have been better. If Wisconsin had played, they could have beat them. Like, you're fighting ghosts and that's such a different, it's like LeBron versus Michael Jordan. We'll never know because you're boxing a ghost and they can't face each other. That's not something the college football community is used to, and it's something that I think is in effect this year. And even going into the playoff process, when the committee sits down and meets, you don't want to leave any question mark about the teams that aren't playing and let that devalue how good you are. I think Clemson is going to come out this year and look not just to win, but to destroy teams every single week.
Leave no doubt on a week-to-week basis that has to be their mentality. So, in effect, it is championship or bust. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah. Being very good for them is not enough.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's a matter of you can no longer have the Louisville slip-ups of last year where you throw a couple picks and they kind of hang around, but eventually the scoreboard looks fine. The magnifying glass is on you, week-to-week basis. Ain't nothing else to watch around here. So we will see all of your inefficiencies on a week-to-week basis.
And look, I'm not going to pretend that the NFL draft isn't a constant conversation. We saw mock drafts the day after the draft this year that were trying to say that Justin Fields is every bit as capable as being the top overall pick. Again, as of right now, this could change. He's not playing. So if Trevor Lawrence comes out and struggles, now all of a sudden you have a little iffy year. The first 7 games last year, Trevor Lawrence had a lot of turnovers, right? So all of a sudden you create this conversation against this person that's not even playing. Like, I don't think they want to leave any question mark about who the best player in the country is, who the best team in the country is. If I'm Dabo and I'm Clemson, that's how I'm attacking everything. And like you said, leave no questions. Like, that is absolutely got to be the focus for this team. And that's why I think Trevor Lawrence is going to come out lights out and this team is going to demolish people.
Yeah, rarely ever does it work out to where more film ends up getting you a boost in your draft rating, right? Like, more
Which
often
is so
than not,
crazy.
when you end up on a high,
stupid.
you might as well just hang them up, which is why I said about Travis Etienne, brother, you might want to sit this one out. But that's again, neither here nor there. That's just my running back bias coming out. I apologize.
Can we build a segment for this show at some point that's like Trevor's running back takes, like running back by committee, like he's the head of the running back committee.
I'm chock full of them. Trevor Scales, Jason Fitz here with you on the College Football Show on the ESPN app, Twitter, YouTube, Live, Facebook, anywhere you can find us. And you're familiar with this segment.
Oh, it's my favorite segment I've ever done at ESPN.
You know what I mean? Like, we still keep things going. Holy cow, for those who don't know, this is the very best that we have to offer. We got graphics of the cow.
Did you have a graphic cow last year?
No, we didn't. This is brand new, baby.
Man.
This is brand new.
Look at that.
Special for
I'm
the
just saying that
football.
Becky's a rock star. That's all. Go ahead.
That's what it is, man. But this is the best of the best. We then kind of take the plays that make us say holy cow on a day-to-day basis and then rate them on the back end. So Fitz is also very familiar with this. We can get this thing cracking if you
I think you're going first.
Yeah, like, I'm good with it. I just want to make sure you were ready to go. That's all.
Look, I was notoriously soft last. You made fun of me the first year.
Quite a bit.
For giving out too many high scores. So we'll see where this thing goes. Okay,
yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
You can go first.
I hold a high standard. We will begin with the Arkansas State, Kansas State game. And look here. I am upset that this was called incomplete because look at my man's here. Jonathan Adams Jr., the star of the day, goes up, and I get it, right? Juggled, whatever. We're still looking for the and one equivalent in football. We still haven't followed through with that. But I gave this a 99 Fitz because I was just really excited it was back. It was the first thing I saw on my timeline.
He didn't even catch the ball.
Listen, I just was very excited.
He didn't even catch.
Football's back, and I was very excited.
I'm almost so upset with this. I'm almost full Marcus Spears just going to take off the mic and leave.
But I didn't give it
a 99 for an incompletion.
Didn't give it a double move. Okay, just calm down.
Oh,
all right,
man.
We're just really happy.
I forgot about the double move. Oh man, now I want to. Okay, that was terrible. And
that's not terrible.
I mean, the play
was awesome. What do you mean?
The play was fine. It was incomplete.
No,
it was incomplete. He bobbled the ball.
Childish.
Okay, I'm going to go up next. Yeah, we'll stick with Arkansas State when we get to the next one. This one, let's get a little bit of fun with the double pass. Jeff Foreman finds Rashad Paul for 48 yards on the big old touchdown. Little double pass action. It's nice. It's a, he's got that in. Yeah, it's a good
I love
throw.
a good gadget
Good
play.
form. I'm going to give this. Are you ready for this?
Yeah,
I'm
let's
going to
go.
give it a 50.
What?
Yeah, I'm giving it a 50.
Fitz, you live in the extremes, and I don't think that that's healthy.
Look, it's early on. Look, everybody knows if you've ever watched Toddlers and Tiaras. Again, I like trash TV. You never want to go early in these things. The judges are hard early on. It's week one. I can't give out a double move. I can't even give out like a big score for a double move. So you like what I just did there?
I do actually. That was good.
So you got the double pass. I'm giving it a 50. It was nice.
Yes, it was, but I feel like that's overcritical. Just like I feel like they're overcritical on Toddlers and Tiaras. But like that's another discussion.
It was a cute play.
That's disrespectful.
Well, okay.
It's wildly disrespectful. Next one, Kansas State. We're going to actually show this some love this time. Malik Knowles, up top for the kid, all by himself. Comes down with it, though. So I am a fan, right? We throw out the term, OBJ-esque, right? Like, we throw that out a lot when cats reach back with one hand, go up and get it. And I, frankly, am a big fan of this one as well. But because you corrected me on my jitters, 77 for this one, right? Like, we'll temper down. You know what? I took your advice from the first play. You said I was a little antsy, and I reeled it in for you. But that's an appropriate score.
We are 34 minutes into the college football show. Treavor Scales, Jason Fitz. That's an important reminder because if you had in the over-under 34 minutes before I finally said it was the gloves.
Oh, jeez.
But was his least
34 minutes into the season for us.
Into the season.
Into the season.
I mean,
it's not. When's the last time you've reached that far back and caught anything?
Look, I'm 5'9". I couldn't catch like.
So am I, and I've caught stuff like that before.
You're an athlete. You are an athlete. Okay. Like I'm 5'9", and my vertical is about 2.5 inches maybe. Like I'm 5'9", and I can't dunk on a 6-foot rim. So if you're asking me when I've caught anything, the answer to that is obviously no. Look at me, my God. But I'm just saying it was nice. But he went up. The glove helped him, and
you're still a hater. That's fine. We can go to the next play. Under the understanding that Fitz is a hater. That's fine with me. Louisiana, big win for the Raging Cajuns, and this was a large part of it. Chris Smith, 95 yards to the crib, erasing angles. That's one of those ones where you just running for the sake of the film so that you don't get caught by your coach and you got to run more on the practice the day after. Like you only running for the sake of not getting caught jogging on film. But that's the only.
Tell me number 23 here didn't just dip his head so it looked like he was trying to run fast.
That's 1,000%. Yeah. What happened? He was like, I know this is gonna be on film. Let me just keep the mechanics up and we just gonna keep it moving. Now, I gave this an 83. I think that's appropriate because I think he's about an 83 speed on Madden if we kind of chopped it up that way. I like that rating, and I think it's appropriate.
I think that's pretty good. You know what? I mean, I think it's good. I do like the, running the little hands. Like Mike Golick Jr. always says, linemen run their hands really fast so it looks like they're trying to run fast while they're jogging. So I feel like
they got the coaching. It's cheek to cheek, right? Like butt cheek to cheek. That's the mechanics in running. That's how you should run.
Really?
Yeah, cheek to cheek, baby.
Everybody's seen my 40. It's not pretty. I shouldn't do that. All right, let's stick with the same game because before we, I'm going to give you my score on this one because we weren't done here. Eric Garner, with the 83-yard touchdown. And again, look at that right there, bam. You thought you had him. Nope, press the turbo button. Now.
Remember, it was R2.
R2 is the turbo button now. Yeah. But you can't rely on it too much because then, it's like the old.
Tired.
Yeah, and then the turbo runs out. And besides, there's
still hit.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm all in on it. I will kick your butt in Madden any single day. I gave this the whopping score of an 80.
I guess.
I gave it a bonus, actually.
I'm not entirely against
Look, it got an 80 with a bonus.
What was the bonus?
Well, you have 2 returns in a game for any one team that you should get a bonus.
Okay, so help me out there. Like, what would you have rated it had that not gotten a bonus?
65.
You are a hater. I don't appreciate it.
What did he do? He didn't break a tackle.
You're a hater.
All he did was find a little
All
seam.
he did was find a an 80-yard house call. All he did.
I mean,
when the last time you ran 80 yards? When the last time you ran 80 yards?
Wait, is there a donut attached to my hand while I'm doing it?
We ain't about to do this.
I mean, look, I'm just saying, did he make anybody miss? Did he just press the turbo button? I mean,
did you know how hard it is to press the turbo button?
Yeah, just like this.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That is inaccurate. And you are like,
wait. When's the last time you ran 80 yards?
I don't run 80 yards.
Exactly.
I don't do that. But I can appreciate the joker that runs 80 yards. You out here hating.
I'm not out
for
here
those
hating
wondering,
anything.
by the way, college football show, Treavor Scales, Jason Fitz on all of your multiple screens. Oklahoma is up 21-0 on Missouri State. Spencer Rattler still having a game. I'm pretty sure they showed like a hero shot of him, which means he probably threw another touchdown.
Yeah, he's 6 of 6, 164 yards, and 2 touchdowns. in his first game of the season.
Yeah, he's
Again,
rolling.
It is against Missouri State.
Agreed. But, like, again, we talk about the style points and everything. Like, that's absolutely necessary. You have to do those things. You got to go out there and dominate. Leave no doubt. All the things that we said about Clemson.
And that's a fair, actually, that's a very fair point. And I don't want to take anything early in the season. What have we seen today? So far, we've seen upsets.
Correct.
We've seen
in their conference.
We've seen teams that didn't necessarily look like they knew what we were going. So we've got a little bit of highlight action going
we get
from
fancy with it. We got the live look at, like the live updates or whatever. Let's go.
You don't even have to pay-per-view for this. All right, so all of a sudden, let's see. We've got it there. Oh, look at that pass. He's wide open. I mean, just a beautiful play there. That was the pass we're looking at. Spencer Rattler with the huge pocket available to him.
Charleston Rambo on the receiving end of that one. 53-yard touchdown. I'll help you out a little bit. You know, we got a team up in the control room that'll help us out every now and again. We try to help them out. So, hey, look, you got to see the animation on that one. It's bruh.
Okay, so bruh.
So first of all, you got too much like Slavic in your system or something. Like, little Yakovian for me. I don't think that's how you say that. It's just bruh. Why are you tucking your chin? Don't tuck your chin. Just say it. It's
bruh.
Yeah, better.
Bruh.
We can work on that.
Wait,
but for those who are stop. For the uninitiated, this is the worst of the worst. We went from the best of the best with holy cow. Now these are the plays that we look at and we can't say nothing, bruh. So first entry, fired up for me, please. University of Charlotte. Peter Agabi. I'm not sure what you're doing. And Gary Streisky, shouts to him on Twitter, hilarious, said that this is what it looks like when he walks into an unexpected cobweb. And
that is good.
That's pretty
I was going to go more like that's what I looked like when I got to the donut place and I found out they only had jelly-filled left.
You know what? I can agree with that because I don't like jelly-filled donuts, bro. I don't like filling donuts in general.
Like I go to a bakery and all they have is pie, I do that. Like that's...
Okay, that's a take. The other thing that we'll probably get into on the college football show are FITZ'S absurd food takes, right? He goes to any platform and just sets the world ablaze with his terrible takes on food. So, like, look for those to come up. Those are like Easter eggs that if you stick with us on a week-to-week basis,
there is the possibility that, like, Peter was working on his future moves for the WWF, like WWE. Like maybe he's going to be a wrestler. Like he's working on the flop. He's working on the, taking that.
Okay.
Or an NBA career.
I'll accept it. Okay. I will accept it.
Okay, perfect.
Next bruh entry. As a Georgia fan, I could not smile harder at the fact that the jokes were written for me. Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. For those who are unaware, that is the Florida Gator Stadium. A dumpster fire on the 3rd level. The jokes write themselves because, good Lord, that program is in shambles, and I just love to see it. I love to see it.
Can we just acknowledge that may or may not have been discovered, that entire dumpster fire? Like, we've been giving credit to all the great people behind the scenes today. Caroline works on the show with us today, and she's a big LSU fan. And I'm pretty sure she's the one that found the dumpster fire. So y'all SEC people are going straight. Like, the SEC's not even playing yet. And in our conference room trying to prep the show, we're throwing all sorts of SEC shit from one team to the other. I don't, just be a little careful because last time I checked, your beloved Georgia Bulldogs do not have a quarterback. So you might want to wait.
We ain't talking about us right now. We talk about the dumpster fire metaphorically and physically that is going down in Florida. That's all we worried about right now.
Speaking of dumpster fires, let me give you the next.
Yes, that's always a good take.
Yeah, thank you so much.
A good transition.
All right, so this one, we'll get to a little of that Pitt action because the next one is Pitt tight end Kai Wright, wide open. Kenny Pickett throws him a dime. And,
oh no.
Can we just have a quick conversation?
How do you play tight end? I thought I was going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was a running back because you know what? Some of us ain't got the greatest hands, and I understand that.
So I was in 5th grade, and I was a fat kid that played the violin at that time, and I was playing football in gym, in PE.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't a particularly athletic kid, shocking to everybody.
Fair.
I ran down the field, cheek to cheek.
Tight hips.
And then somebody screamed, like the PE teacher screamed ball. So I knew it was coming. So I turned around, and as I turned around, the ball hit me in the face really hard, and I fell down. I feel like I feel this. Like, my whole athletic life might be, bruh.
I don't think he would appreciate you comparing yourself to him
That's
he
probably a
probably
fair point,
really
Mike.
wouldn't like
in
that.
hindsight.
We should probably stay away from that. We should probably stay away
just
from
move right along. Next,
yeah, we keep it going.
The next bro.
Yeah, we keep it going. Keep that going.
Oh, I have an issue with this one, Trevor. This one kind of hit me.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at Florida State, and there were a lot of fans in the stands, over 19,000. We cannot confirm or deny yet. We haven't been able to get any confirmation that it's the most at any college football game because they're not really releasing numbers. But that doesn't look like 6 feet.
No, far from it. And you know what? I can't even say that I saw everybody with a mask on in the couple of clips that we've seen from this game. And that's just unfortunate, right? Because we talked about just how sensitive of a situation this is just to have college football back and how quickly it can be taken away from us courtesy of an outbreak or two, right? And understanding that it would feel like everybody should be on their best behavior when they go out to these events. Semicolon, however, we see that folks are not doing that and just living recklessly. And I don't know why. I just want to keep college football if we're going to have it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest part of it. And maybe, you know, we've got a little gridiron therapy, the opportunity.
Yes.
That's why the real reason, there's two reasons we have the pillows.
Yes.
One is because sometimes.
And lumbar support.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really the therapy pillow, plus sometimes, like, these couches make you sit at a weird angle, makes you a little frumpy, so I like to have the pillow to hide
Make
the
sure you
quarantine.
check your posture.
I want to get this off my chest, see, because I'm a big believer, Trevor, that we become, as a society, so consumed with what's next. I just want us to appreciate what we have right now. And like today, I was watching college football, and the whole time I was thinking, holy cow, I'm watching college football. Like, holy cow. This is like the best moment in the world. And then I see the way some people are acting in it, and I'm like, hey, I'm not making a social statement. I'm not telling you what I think about, like, this is important. I'm not telling you what I think about any of these things. I'm not talking to you about what I think about wearing masks. I'm not talking to you about what I think about wearing social, like, or maintaining social distance. I'm talking to you about what the people that control these conferences have told you. And their medical experts are telling you certain protocol has to be followed. And if we're going to ask these kids to put themselves at risk, and we're going to make coaches wear masks on sidelines while they're trying to communicate, and everybody's going to try and get this done, if you're in the crowd and there's room for 60,000 people, just do what the players you love are doing. Like, hold yourself to the same standard as the people that you love watching. Like, what they're doing in practice, you should do when you're sitting in the stands.
It's so simple. It really could all be so simple. We appreciate you sharing here.
Thank you.
You know what? Gridiron therapy is good for everybody, right? Like, it's something that we all could use a little bit more of. Everybody needs somebody to talk to. So I'm going to holler at you for it.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Good.
I got to get something off of my chest. And I want to first echo everything that you said.
Thank you.
If we want to have nice things, people, please find some act right. Listen to the people that are way smarter than both of us sitting on this couch and just about everybody else in whatever room you're sitting in. But for me, I'm going to take this back to my heart, my fandom, right? Hey, Bulldogs, please don't hurt me. We done been through this time and time again, right? We done been to national championships, had our hearts broken. Been to SEC championships, think we about to win something, had our hearts broken. I'm just asking for no more heartbreak. I'm not even asking for you to win everything. But just please keep my conscience in mind, because your boy can't take no more. I have been a fan of everything in Atlanta. That's terrible life decision on my part. I know that. But I don't need you addressing the fact that I've made terrible decisions. Just don't hurt me. If you get close to winning, just go ahead and finish the drill. If you know you ain't about to win, just lose early so I can go about my business on the day, because I got so much better things to do than to cry. Done a lot of crying, Fitz. And I don't need to be doing no more of that.
I lived through it 2 years ago with you on this show.
Terrible.
I like that you got that off your chest.
Thank you.
And look, I think there is, we'll spin that into a quick conversation. First, we'll hold that thought. We have an Oklahoma update. I'm going to hold this thought about the SEC, but first we want to get to this update.
Yeah.
Oklahoma is just, I mean.
It's more of what you think it is.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, the funny thing is, that's going to go down as a Spencer Rattler touchdown pass.
Don't start hating.
As a running back, how do you feel about that?
You know what? As long as I get on the receiving end of said touchdown, it's fine. Chalk it up as whatever you want to. That's fine. That's cool.
Okay.
I still get a receiving yards too.
They are rolling at this point, 28-0, in a way we expected.
For sure.
You know, you mentioned Georgia, and I do think that there is a unique opportunity for SEC teams right now. Like, because for all the action we've been going through, and it's a college football show, we'll be here every single Saturday hanging out with you from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern on all the digital platforms, and we're going to get you caught up on everything that happened and set the table for what's going to happen tonight. But in a few weeks, we get more of that as the SEC comes to play. I think that there's a real opportunity here. And I've said a few times, as strange as this sounds, part of the reason I think the NFL season is going to have some success when it comes to playing games is because Major League Baseball didn't. And what I mean by that is if you're a professional athlete, you look around and you're like, okay, I saw how that didn't work. I know what I got to do here. Like, I know I got to make change. I think that there's a moment here for the SEC where, frankly, when it comes to the decision to play, at least they have done it in a way where they get to watch what works and doesn't work for the ACC and for the Big 12. They get to watch what's working and doesn't work when it comes to game planning, when it comes to practice, because let's go back to Navy getting their butt kicked and their coach coming out and saying, hey, we didn't practice the right way.
For the sake of safety, yeah.
I mean, and so if I'm an SEC coach, I'm sitting back and I'm saying, okay, I've seen what worked. I've seen what hasn't worked. I also can now give a message to my team. Hey, look at what happened to Iowa State today. Do you want to be that? Look at what the Sun Belt did to Power 5 schools today. Like, it becomes sort of a reminder that whether you're an SEC school that's playing Bama one week or you're an SEC school that's playing Vandy one week, you know that this is what's happening in the college football landscape. So I think that, as strange as it sounds, the decision to delay the start for the SEC from a football standpoint actually gives them some real advantages in messaging and approach to practice.
Without question, I think just the fact to even bring it back a little bit more, just having time to practice is a luxury that a lot of these teams did not afford themselves for the sake of trying to get this thing started before things got too bad, theoretically, when we get into these fall and winter months, right? Like, that is what the models sort of predict. So operating under those circumstances, you would want to try to squeeze everything you can on the front end. But the advantage of the SEC holding off is just having an understanding of what your schedule could look like, what it could unfold to be should you have an outbreak on your campus or whatever have you, and you can work around that. You have time to kind of work through those kinks. So with that being said, like, they have a bit of an advantage from the standpoint of just having things under control that a lot of these other conferences don't.
One of the best things that we're going to do every weekend for the college football show is not just recap the action, but get you set for the big game of the night. Let's take a look right now at the game that we've got. Number 1, Clemson taking on Wake Forest. This is a live look in at the action for Treavor Lawrence as the season is underway for the top team in all the land.
Yeah, opening drive for the Tigers. Treavor Lawrence from the gun here in the backfield with Travis Etienne. And as we've discussed time and time again here on the College Football Show, Treavor has to come out and perform well. Like, this has to be a statement right off the jump. There cannot be any hiccups for the sake of not only his draft capital, but also for the state of the Clemson Tigers. In order for them to kind of remain as a top dog, untouchable in the ACC every week, and it's a lot more conference games for these jokers, every week has to be an absolute expose on their behalf as far as what they are putting on, the clinics that they put on both sides of the ball.
Especially, I keep looking at Clemson and thinking about a conversation I had with Heather Dinich last week, our ESPN college football reporter, about the college football playoff committee. And one thing that she said is it's going to be very difficult is trying to figure out, conferences and strength of schedule and
no head-to-heads.
And if you're suddenly on the committee based only on what we saw today, and this is very early and could change drastically, but let's be honest, Notre Dame's offense didn't look great. North Carolina's offense didn't look as good as I thought they would. I mean, if you're looking around for Clemson saying, I got to have style points and I got to make sure the rest of the conference gets style points, not just, they're going to make the playoff either way if they win their conference because they're Clemson, but for, like I said, the conversations about what could happen with the Big Ten and, trying to look at if Oklahoma rolls, it's not as simple as just go in and win for Clemson.
Without question. As we saw Treavor Lawrence get sacked there, that's just a reminder of what Clemson has lost. 4 or 5 of your offensive line is a big deal, right? Like, not having that return, regardless of how good you are, wide receiver I understand that. Travis Etienne still in the backfield, I understand that. And Treavor Lawrence at the center of it all, I understand that. But if your offensive line is having to do quite a bit of turnover, that proposes a little bit of problems. We saw Wake Forest just get there on a 3-man rush, right? Like, that cannot happen if you are Clemson. You have to protect at all costs. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of work through this stuff, man, because it's such an anomaly of a season. We will have to see how exactly teams kind of work with those circumstances posed.
Something else to keep your eye on tonight and throughout the course of the year portion of the college football season is officiating, because while we've talked about so many of the opt-outs in the player level, let's remember that, big sack for Clemson there. Clemson's defense always stout. Continue to be that. But one thing to keep in mind is that we've seen opt-outs from from officials also. So one thing in the NFL we saw in the first game of the year was that officials were holding their flags a little bit more. We've seen a little of that in the college football landscape too. So it could be in effect.
Yeah, and just all of the differences, right? Like going from the oral whistles to hand whistles, right? Like even those slights of adjustment, everybody's sort of making accommodations for this season that are going to have ramifications on a week-to-week basis. So I'm interested to see how it all unfolds, man. Like it's going to make for very interesting TV and football for the duration of this season.
I want to get your thoughts as a former player too on one thing we just saw there, and it's hard to know first from the quick looks, but I feel like communication on the outside is going to be a real issue because of the lack of practice and the lack of the ability to come in and get a rhythm. Like when you're talking about corners and wide receivers, it feels like we take for granted how much wide receiver quarterback communication there is, but then how much safety linebacker and corner communication there is. I feel like we're going to see more busted plays in the first 3-4 weeks of the season than we're used to.
Yeah, you're going to have to adjust for all of the differences in environment, right? Like the communications from the standpoint of getting hand signals down. We were a big hand signal team. Like we knew that even in the quiet stadium of Harvard, right? Like, it's not like they were
like
roaring.
all 7 fans were keeping you like that.
Hey, I'm going to keep it a band with you. We weren't packing the stadium on a week-to-week basis, but look, we understood that even when those moments did come, right, at the end of the season where you cannot hear yourself think when you're playing against Yale, we have to be ready to communicate in a lot of different ways, a lot of nonverbal communications. So hopefully those are the things that have been worked out prior to us getting popping off.
I'm just saying, if I was an athletic director somewhere, I wouldn't have pushed for fans in the stands, money aside. I would have been pushing for the opportunity to play Baby Shark for 3 straight hours just to psych out my opponent. Imagine it. Like you're an hour 2.5 of Baby Shark, you're done.
You're a zombie. You're a
done.
zombie.
Like, you're done. And
absolute zombie.
But if you play it every day in practice, you're not even hearing it anymore. You're used
it's
to
white noise,
You're
baby.
zoning out Baby Shark. Meanwhile, your opponent is completely Baby Shark consumed by the end of the fourth quarter. This is the riveting content you can only get on the College Football Show. Treavor Scales, Jason Fitz, and let's have some positivity.
Yes, I love ending on a high note, baby. We're about to wrap this thing up, but we got to give some good news to the people on the way out. A little something we like to call you love to see it. And it's very simple. You love to see the things that we get to talk about. And what you got for us this week, Fitz?
Well, you love to see it for me comes back to, I'll be selfish here and talk about a great friend and an incredible mentor. Mike Golick Sr. today was calling college football for the first time in a long time.
Look at him.
Dude, quarantine has been good to him.
Listen.
I mean, he looks like a model. I walked into the booth that he was, socially distanced. I was wearing a mask.
Yeah.
He was wearing the full suit. It was tailored. He looked good. I'm just saying, they say never meet your inspirations and all those things. From the day I walked on this campus, that man has been a mentor to me, a coach to me, an incredible person to me, and is now a close friend. To see him back on a call and then see him do so well with it, crush it. One of the most entertaining parts of watching that Iowa State game was watching somebody that I respect so much go in and do a spectacular job. It's a great win for ESPN that we still get to see Mike Golick Sr.
Without question, man. And great.
By the way, that's my homage to a true pro.
It's for the team.
With a little donut
That's
on
for
it.
the team.
Paying a little respects to a great man.
Best tweet I saw regarding Golick Sr. being back in the booth is that he looks like an older Logan, like the Wolverine, like when he started to get the gray. Hugh Jackman, when he got the little bit of gray in the beard.
I mean, even his wife tweeted today, like, he won quarantine.
Hey.
He's gotten himself in shape. Like, he's ripped. He looks good. He could be a male model.
That's all right with me.
That's the end of the
You
praise.
know what I love to see? I know we talked about a little bit of the negative in bruh, but for those of you that attended college football games or watched college football games and found yourself being responsible, being socially distant, wearing a mask just to make sure that we can get through this season, I appreciate you. Fitz appreciates you. Everybody that is on the team of this college football show, we all appreciate you doing so because we get to come back every single week so long as everybody keeps doing that. So we just ask that you continue to do that, and we love to see it, right? Everybody here loves to see it.
I mean, game day this morning when they were at Corso's house and you had Wake Forest mascot watering his plants wearing a mask.
Corso talking to the cutouts, too.
Oh, my God.
All gold.
Lee Corso is an American treasure.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you're right. We do love to see it. And that's, I mean, I think the big thing that we can take away from today is in some ways it was exactly what we thought it would be so far, in the sense that we've had some sloppy moments, some you got to get right moments, some tackling confusion, sure. But what we've seen are upsets, and we've seen sort of the love back and the fire back, and really what makes college football so incredible to me. Of all the sports that I get to cover, there's none that I love more than college football.
Without question.
Not because I have a favorite team, I don't care. For me, it's all about the fans, the environment, and the atmosphere. And even without fans in a lot of these stands or limited fans, it still felt like we had a moment of normalcy, and we were reminded of everything that was great from college football in one day.
There's no doubt that return to a sense of normalcy was vital for everybody's psyche, right, in a tough time for everybody kind of operating right about now. But I think I'm reminded of the phrase that, you know, I tend to avoid the idea of sports at large being an escape because I myself cannot escape being a black man, and that is something that I always will carry with me proudly. And so understanding that as we operate on a week-to-week basis with this college football schedule and understanding the joy that it brings us, right, always be present in mind of what is going on around us. That is applicable to not only the pandemic, but the societal ills and everything else that we're working through as a country and as a world, right? And that's something that we should always keep top of mind as we're appreciating the things that we are able to consume on a weekly basis.
Beautifully said, my friend. And if there's anything I've learned, I was one that until several months ago always said, you know, sports are for escapism. And what I've learned is that there are so many people that can't escape that we've got to find a balance in the conversation. And I strongly believe that. I hope that every single person that has been fired up about giving the voice to the players that want to play in the Big Ten, that want to play in the Pac-12, I hope every one of those people give that same passion to those players when they want to use their voice for societal change and when they want to use their voice for things that those fans may not be as comfortable with. If you're going to embrace the voice in one spot, embrace it in all of them. And when we can do that, we'll actually be respecting these kids that are playing their butts off every single Saturday. That's a win for all of us.
It's a matter of keeping that same energy, baby, because I think we all have a passion about this here when it comes to in between the white lines, but what occurs outside the white lines is just as important. We should all be mindful of that. I'm thankful to have Jason Fitz alongside me to kind of get into all of that and more. And we will be back next week to take you through another week of college football. It's been fun. We appreciate y'all joining us here on the College Football Show on the ESPN app, Twitter, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live as well. Our appreciation to Becky, Sid up in there. We got, who else we got in there?
Caroline,
Caroline, all y'all. Appreciate y'all taking care of us and all the shenanigans that took place down here. We'll holler at y'all.
Be sure to watch the game right now. Clemson, Wake Forest on ABC or stick in the ESPN app. Hang out with us every single weekend. We appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
Take care.